All right, Matt Weaver, sportsnaut.com/NASCAR, checking in or checking out from the Southern 500, Darlington Speedway in South Kakalaki, where there's a lot to unpack, as they say, right? Kyle Larson, put this law here. Kyle Larson won another big one, another marquee race. I'm going to have to upgrade my technology here, whether it's a selfie stick or something or the other. Kyle Larson won another major. Let me turn around real quick. We have haulers leaving the speedway for fans who might like some of this inside baseball stuff. Kyle Larson wins the Southern 500, and it's one of those things to where I think sometimes we lose the fact that this is still the Southern 500. It's one of the marquee races in NASCAR, crown jewel. Ever since NASCAR moved it into the playoff opener, we kind of conflate them together, and I think to a certain degree, this being a marquee event kind of gets lost in the discourse a little bit, but it is, right? From a NASCAR standpoint, Larson has now won 2 of the 4 crown jewels. He has a Coke 600 win back in 2021. He now has a Southern 500, right? He's missing the Daytona 500 and the Brickyard 400, which will come back next year. This is a guy that continues to pile up kind of marquee race wins across multiple disciplines, right? Wins his 2nd Knoxville Nationals this year in a sprint car, Kings Royal winner. He's won the Prairie Dirt Classic in a late model. He's going to go try to run the Indianapolis 500 next year, right? So I don't want to lose sight of the fact that this is another kind of marquee victory for one of the great American race car drivers of our time, right? But this is the start of the playoffs, and that's part of the conversation, it's part of the dynamic. Actually, if you look behind me, we still have tech going on. That is the inspection station. They call it the optical scanning station, the Hawkeye. It's where post-race takes place, pre-race inspection, all that stuff. As I shoot this, there's still a lot going on here in the garage. A lot of teams are still packing up for the night. But this was the playoff race, and a lot happened, right? I mean, I think that, to me, Denny Hamlin is going to be, and Martin Truex too, really. Truex and Hamlin both are going to be super grateful. Try not to get run over here by SRI's hauler. Truex and Hamlin are going to be grateful they're the number 1 and number 3 seeds because those points carry over, right? I think of Kevin Harvick, who had a great opportunity to redefine his final season as a full-time Cup driver, still kind of racing for one more championship and had a chance to add to that legacy here tonight in Darlington. And just an ill-timed caution, and he came down pit road right as Ryan Newman was spinning, and the timing of the caution was right as he was coming down pit road. That's a penalty. It's complicated. It's a penalty if he stops and completes the pit stop as opposed to doing a drive-through. There was a cross-up between spotter Timmy Fedowa and crew chief Rodney Childers. I talked to him, but regardless, it was a huge opportunity to get a great finish. He's still below the cut line. Ross Chastain was down a lap early and came back to get a top 5. So that was a remarkable story. Joey Logano did not have the best of days, and he's still right there above the cut line. So all of this to say that the drama of the Cup Series playoffs is palpable, and there were a lot of really dramatic moments. And actually, one of the most dramatic things wasn't even from a playoff standpoint. It was from 2 of the drivers who were the first ones out, Alex Bowman and Daniel Suarez, right? The blocks heard around the world. Who is that? The 23 car, Bubba Wallace. 23 is loading up. So obviously we have to talk about the block. That was kind of a dramatic moment. Again, man, the playoffs here are just, it's a super intense time of the season. And over the course of 26 races in the regular season, you know, there's the ebbs and flows of an ordinary campaign. But when you kind of start boiling things down to small sample sizes, the 3 race rounds, every single moment is kind of emphasized, I guess, right? Like having a pit road speeding penalty or breaking a toe link, those sort of things, they don't really show up over the course of 26 races, but they do in 3. And so they're going to go to Kansas, they're going to go to Bristol, and those guys who are on the bubble are going to continue to sweat bullets to figure out if they're going to be in or not. Michael McDowell was caught up in a crash with Todd Gilliland and Kyle Busch. And, it really sets a team like his behind the 8 ball, because I don't believe that Michael in front row has the sort of pace to go compete with the big teams, right? And so they needed a mistake-free 3-race round to have a shot, and they're going to be behind it, and they're only like 17 points out. That's going to be really hard to make up. And another example is Ricky Stenhouse, right? Ricky Stenhouse, in my opinion, did not do enough. Had the pit road speeding penalty, did not do enough to be able to create the space that he needed to avoid being eliminated here in 2 weeks. But he's got 2 really good racetracks for him too. He's got Kansas, he's got Bristol. Those are Stenhouse racetracks. So maybe there's an opportunity there for him too. There's so many things I feel like that I want to use this space to talk about. But I'll end on this note. It's Darlington. It's the Southern 500. It's back on Labor Day weekend, Labor Day Sunday, like it should be. That's been good now for the past 12 years now. It still feels kind of fresh after NASCAR took it away about 20 years ago. It's a good weekend. The Xfinity race is always a lot of fun. I am just reminded that we've got to continue working on this car. I don't know if it's adding maybe 100 to 115 more horsepower. I don't know if it's going to a grooved tire or a narrower tire or ripping the underbody off. But on these, this is not quite a short track, but it's kind of in between an intermediate and a short track. You really see the effects of this car and the aerodynamic challenges therein when it comes to these tracks that have one real groove. And that's what Darlington is. It's a one groove racetrack. Everyone's kind of running in the same optimal lane, and passing is just so challenging. And there was a point early in the race to where there were like 3 different tire strategies playing out, right? There were teams that were on one lap worth of tires. The leaders stayed out on much older tires, and they were able to maintain their track position because they had clean air. And I'm not sure that that's what Cup Series NASCAR racing should be, that when you have so much tire fall off, which we do here. This place is super abrasive. It's everything that you think that Darlington should be when you think historically of what kind of racing this place produces. And it's all offset by the dirty air, the underbody, the aero effects of this car. They've got to work on that. And I think they're going to. I don't know what the answer is yet, but that's going to be a topic of conversation too. What else do we got here before I sign off? We have Kansas. Then we have Bristol, and that's the round of 16. And if we thought the drama this weekend was palpable. Next weekend will be a little bit of the same, and then we go to Bristol short track where tempers have flared anyway. We're going to continue to ramp the intensity, and I think to me, I'll say this: it's a polarizing topic, and I know the playoffs, the elimination playoffs, are not everyone's cup of tea. But if you enjoy high intensity, high stakes motorsports, there is nothing in any racing discipline quite like you're going to see the next 10 weeks. And despite the fact that we forget sometimes that the Southern 500 is a crown jewel, I can't think of a better place to start it than here in South Kakalaki. So we'll talk to you guys next weekend at Kansas, and buckle up.